They told me from the day I walked in here they were going to hold me here until I die, all right? And it looks like it might happen.
Is Rodney Yoder one of Illinois' most dangerous psychiatric patients or a prisoner of psychiatric oppression? It depends on who you ask.
When he is given the opportunity, he will erupt, and the eruption will be massive.
You are not a monster.
I'm a human being. There aren't monsters are in fairy tales. There are human beings, you know, there are people who commit heinous crimes, and I'm not one of them.
Yoder's right. He's never committed a murder or serial killings. He has committed 2 aggravated batteries for which he served his time. But 8 years ago, at the end of his 2nd term in prison, he was committed to the Chester Mental Health Center. The state said he was mentally ill and too dangerous to be set free.
They say that I'm psychotic.
Show me where.
Delusional disorder, persecutory type.
David Oakes is the co-founder of Support Coalition International, a group of self-proclaimed psychiatric survivors who challenge the psychiatric establishment. Oakes has taken up Rodney Yoder's cause.
That's why in America it's supposed to be you only get locked up if you commit a crime, not if they predict that someday you'll commit a crime.
Well, not exactly. You can be locked up if you are considered mentally ill and a danger to yourself or others. It is called involuntary commitment. In Illinois, it happens to some 2,500 people every year.
I like life on the outside. I liked it just fine. I hate it here.
While on the outside in 1979, Yoder struck and injured his girlfriend. 11 years later, in 1990, another aggravated battery, this time against his ex-wife. But in between, in the 1980s, he sold real estate, raised a family, and had no criminal record. State psychologist Daniel Cuneo has testified against Yoder's release.
He has not taken a machine gun and killed 400 people. What I'm telling you is, he doesn't have a machine gun in here. But his wish to destroy, to hurt, to maim is still there.
Cuneo says Yoder suffers from delusions and paranoia. Yoder has written letters threatening to commit mass murders and has sent dozens of bomb threats to lawyers, judges, and celebrities, even to the president.
I was willing to commit federal mail law crimes so that I could go to a prison and not be here.
The Chester Mental Health Center is a maximum security facility, the only one in the state, and the 300 or so patients living here are considered too dangerous to be housed anywhere else.
Cuneo tries to portray me as a Hannibal Lecter type monster, okay? I've been free before, do you understand?
The 41-year-old Yoder grew up in South Suburban Park Forest. He was a good student and participated in baseball, track, and basketball. But at age 15, he was placed in a foster home because of an abusive father. His mother says he was well behaved as a child, but also adept at telling lies.
Oh, he was a very good liar. In fact, he had a lot of people convinced with his lies. He could lie with the best of them.
I know that growing up in the family I grew up with, it left scars, and it's hard for me. But I'm dealing with it, and I think if Rodney would try, I think he should, and I think he could.
But state psychologists say Yoder won't try. He adamantly refuses psychotropic medications like Thorazine that are now widely accepted as successful treatments for mental illness. Why not go along with the state? Take the medication, play their game, and help yourself get out.
There's no medications to be taken because there's no illness to be treated. Do you understand, Larry?
Well, why not play the game?
I value myself. My body. I don't want to ingest dangerous neurotoxins, all right?
People should have a right to say no to the government pushing drugs into their minds and body.
Oakes himself was institutionalized in the 70s while a student at Harvard. He admits that Yoder is not the most appealing poster boy for psychiatric survivors, but he claims Yoder's case illustrates how evidence like threatening letters, which in a criminal case could bring a fixed amount of time in jail, can keep a mental patient confined indefinitely.
If it had been really a dangerous crime, he should have been brought in front of a judge and charged, and he never was.
But Daniel Cuneo points out that the evidence for Yoder's commitment is reviewed every 6 months in a courtroom. And for 8 years now, the answer has always been the same.
There has never been a dispute. He's not ready to leave. He won't be ready to leave until he gets himself involved in some type of treatment.
Will you explode if you're released?
No. Well, I'm not an explosive. I'm not going to blow up like a bomb. As far as engaging in antisocial or violent conduct, no. This is kind of some interesting country through here. You see it's hilly, it's like a terminal moraine of one of the glaciers.
Yeah. These days, when Rodney Yoder takes in the view on his brother's farm 90 minutes south of Chicago, he sees more than cornfields and tricolor paints in the corral. He says he sees a future.
Eventually, I'm wanting to maybe newspaper reporter, Larry.
He can even manage a smile, something he never did when I interviewed him 6 years ago inside the Chester Mental Health Center, which houses Illinois' most dangerous psychiatric inmates.
They told me from the day I walked in here they were going to hold me here until I die, all right? And it looks like it might happen.
But it didn't happen. On January 11th, after 15 years of confinement, Yoder was released back into society. State psychiatrists concluded he was no longer dangerous, and a pending criminal charge was also dismissed. So the man who told me he was once viewed as the Hannibal Lecter of Illinois was set free.
There can't be a more horrible ascription to another human being than to call him mentally ill, a schizophrenic, or something of this nature. It makes him an object of scorn, hatred, fear, discrimination. It's a stigma.
For all of his complaints about being stigmatized, Yoder says the most difficult part of his new freedom is that the woman who he met and married while he was at Chester has now abandoned him.
He was just very loving and dedicated and warm.
Her name was Millie Strom from Vancouver. She and Yoder had met on the internet because of her interest in what she called psychiatric oppression. They were married for just under 18 months.
She lost hope. She just simply lost hope, being told that I would never be free.
Yoder is now living in New Douglas, about an hour south of Springfield, but he makes occasional trips north to help out on his brother's farm.
I don't really know how to describe it, but he's a super intelligent guy. He can do anything he wants.
The Park Forest man had been involuntarily committed for mental illness in 1990 following his second conviction for aggravated battery. And when he started sending threatening letters to celebrities and politicians, even the president, he was labeled as a dangerously delusional man.
I wrote some fake bomb threat letters in an effort to be removed from promised lifelong torture and incarceration there to the relative safety and humanity of a jail.
One state doctor predicted Yoder could erupt at any time.
He has not taken a machine gun and killed 400 people. What I'm telling you is, he doesn't have a machine gun in here. But his wish to destroy, to hurt, to maim is still there.
Where's my machine gun? Where am I going around shooting people? Where am I committing crimes? What if I'm doing wrong or antisocial or immoral even?
Yoder's confinement eventually drew national attention, including a 4-page spread in Time magazine, because he refused to take medications, saying he wasn't ill.
When psychiatrists come along and incarcerate persons and put drugs into their bodies against their will, I have a problem with that.
Now he plans to continue his advocacy on that issue while trying to get on with his life.
It's like a birthmark. It's like a big ugly birthmark now. Anybody who goes on the internet, pops in my name and does a search, this is just public record. I was locked up 15 years in a madhouse.
Larry Yellen, Fox News, Chicago.